Aleph, Bet, Ret, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Chaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fet, Tzadi, Kuf, Reish, Shin, Sin, Taf. Now I think I've said enough.
Welcome to another in our series, From the Aleph Bet, a series for anyone of any age who wishes to learn how to read and understand Hebrew, especially the Hebrew that's used in the experience of Judaism here in the United States. I'm Mark Golub. Again, a pleasure to be with you. And again, thank you for the lovely emails, a lot of emails and a couple of cards saying such lovely things about the program and asking me some questions, asking also for Hebrew sheets, both lesson sheets and worksheets for the series From the Aleph Bet. And I should say, by the way, we got a very interesting question about the silent letter Aleph, and we'll address that in a few moments as well. But right now, I want to go through with you quickly all the letters we've learned thus far, and you see if you recognize them and can also tell me what sounds they make. So Alex, let's put the entire alphabet up on the screen. There are 22 Hebrew letters in the Hebrew alphabet, and we've shown you 16 of them thus far. Here are the letters. Hopefully you know, and we're reviewing for you. And of course, we're going to begin with the very first letter in the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Aleph. And what sound does the Aleph make? You're correct, it is a silent letter. And again, one of our viewers asked, why is there a silent letter? And not only that, there is another silent letter, which we haven't yet shown you, but I'm going to show it to you right now. It's the letter Ayin. This is also a silent letter in Hebrew, makes no sound at all. You simply pronounce it with the vowel, either under it, over it, or to the left of it. The Aleph and the Ayin are both silent letters. And the question was asked, why are there two silent letters in Hebrew? And the answer is, first, languages always tend to evolve. At one time, the Aleph was pronounced and the Ayin was pronounced, and they were pronounced slightly differently with a deep glottal or guttural sound. And in some actually Semitic languages, the Aleph and the Ayin are still pronounced. But languages tend to get easier over time, and both the Aleph and the Ayin became silent because of the difficulty that was involved in the human throat when one tried to pronounce it. So the Aleph and the Ayin are in fact different letters, and they are at the present time in modern Hebrew, they are silent letters. So we've taught you the silent letter Aleph, and now you know the other silent letter, the silent Ayin. And here's the second Hebrew letter. It's the letter Bet. Very good. It makes the B sound in Hebrew. Then we have the galloping Gimel. There's the galloping Gimel on its legs. And the galloping Gimel makes the hard G sound in English, the G sound. The fourth letter of the alphabet is the, very good, the Daled. And here we have an animation of the Daled swinging open like a door. The Daled is the English letter D. And the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet is the letter Hey. Very good. And I always imagine it with a hayloft. It is also the only Hebrew letter with a hole in its side, a hole. We've learned the eighth Hebrew letter of the alphabet, the letter Chet. It is the only Hebrew letter which does not have an English equivalent of sound. And we tend to express the Chet by the English letter CH because there's no ch sound in Hebrew. So this is the letter Chet. It looks a little bit like a hey, as you can see here, but the Chet has no hole. It's a Chet. And the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Yud, which is like the English letter Y, and it acts just like a Y. If the Yud has a vowel of its own, it's a consonant, and if the Yud does not have a vowel, It's part of the preceding vowel, just like the English letter Y. It's the Yud. The 11th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the Kaf. Very good. It has a cuff link in it. It also looks a little bit like the Bet, but you can see the Bet has like a bed at the bottom, and the Kaf is like a backwards C, the Kaf. We also learned the Lamed. Very good. Makes the English letter L. It almost has an L at the top. Here is a final letter. This is a letter that only comes at the end of a word. It's the final Mem. Very good. It makes the M sound in Hebrew, called either a final Mem or a Mem Sofit. Hebrew for final Mem. And right after the Mem, we have the Nun. Very good. This is the Nun, and it makes the English letter N, the N sound. And after the Nun, the Samech. Very good. And the Samech looks very much like a final Mem, except in the right-hand corner there is a slice. There's a slice in the Samech. The Samech makes an English S sound, the S sound. Then we taught you the Pei. You put the point in the Pei. And we also showed you the Pei family, because the Pei is one of 3 Hebrew letters which changes its sound depending on whether there's a dot inside the Pei. The dot is called the Dagesh. If you take a dot out of the Pei, remove the Dagesh, it still is a Pei, but it's pronounced as an F. And so we tend to call it a Fei. It's a Pei that makes an F sound, so we call it a Fei. And we also taught you that if you grab a hold of the horizontal bottom line of the Fei and pull it straight down like this, so that the Fei extends below the line upon which letters are written, it is the final Fei. You'll only see this final Fei at the end of a word. It's a final Fei or a Fei Sofit. And there's your family of Pei, the Fei, and the final Fei. Mitsuyan. And we've also taught you the last 3 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The Resh, very good, and the Resh is round in the right-hand top corner. It looks a little bit like a Daled, but you can see the Daled is not round in the right corner. Then we taught you the Shin, Mitsuyan. The Shin reminds me of a ship, as you see in this animation. The Shin makes the SH sound in English, and this letter is called a Shin. The Shin. And finally, the last letter, the 22nd letter of the Hebrew alphabet, is the Tuf, Mitsuyan. And the Tuf is the only letter with a big toe. And we'll quickly put up for you right here the Hey, the Chet, the Tuf. The Hey has a hole, the Tuf has the big toe, the Chet has neither, and those are the 3 letters that sort of look the same. But there is the Tuf, and remember that almost every letter in the Hebrew alphabet can also have a Dagesh inside, so that, for example, if you take the Gimel, it is pronounced as a G, whether there's a Dagesh in it or not. The Gimel is simply a Gimel. The same thing with the Tuf. If there's a Dagesh in the Tuf, it is pronounced T for Tuf. If you take the Dagesh out of the Tuf, it is still pronounced as T, Tuf. And I say that because some of you at one time may have been pronouncing Hebrew in the Ashkenazic dialect, where the Tuf did make a different sound if you took the Dagesh out, and then it was called a Suf. and it made an S sound. In Sephardic Hebrew, the Hebrew spoken in Israel and the Hebrew we're learning here on from the Aleph Bet, the Tuf makes the same sound whether there is or is not a dagesh. It makes the T sound, Tuf. And there you have it. Those are the letters you've learned so far, the 16 letters you've learned from the Aleph Bet. And we've also taught you some vowel sounds as well. So let's put some vowels up on the screen. And before we do, I should remind you that vowels are dots and dashes that go either under or over or to the left of Hebrew letters. Dots and dashes. And therefore, if you count the dots and dashes in a word, you know how many vowels are in that word. And we've also taught you that when you read Hebrew, there's a one-to-one correlation between the number of vowels in a word and the number of syllables in a word. There's always one vowel for one syllable. Never more, never fewer. A one-to-one relationship between the number of vowels and the number of syllables in a Hebrew word. Just count the number of vowels in a word and you know how many syllables are in that Hebrew word. And the vowels are dots and dashes, and these are the ones we've taught you so far. Here is the patach and the kamatz, both of which make the ah sound, as in the word father. Ah. We've also taught you the Hebrew vowel for O, or as Israelis tend to say, a shorter O, O. The O is called the cholam, and the cholam malay has this vertical line under it called a vav. And you can remove the vertical line, remove the vav, it's called the cholam chaser, the lacking cholam, because the vav has been removed. In either case, it's pronounced O or O. Then we taught you the U sound in Hebrew, the shuruk, which is the vav with a dot in the middle, and the kubutz, 3 dots going down from left to right. And we have this animation that shows you the cholam is like getting hit on top of the head. You say O. But the shuruk is like getting hit in the stomach. You say U. Or if you slide down a slide, you also say ooh. So you have the kubutz, which makes the U sound, as in the word moon. And then we taught you the dotted vowels under a letter. One dot under a letter is the E, the hirik, as in the word see. 1 dot. 2 dots under a letter is the Hebrew vowel serei. It makes the A sound, as in the word say or cake. And sometimes the serei is pronounced more as an sound. Either way is correct, and you'll see as we go along when is it pronounced a, when is it pronounced more of an But for now, the serei is the A vowel in Hebrew. And finally, 3 dots, an upside down triangle. It's the segol, and it's pronounced as in the word bed. So you have 1 dot E, 2 dots A, 3 dots And finally, we've taught you one more set of dots, which are the only dots that are not counted as a vowel. And I've taught you that this is the secret to being able to read and pronounce any Hebrew word you see. These dots are called a shva. This is the shva, and the shva is the only set of dots in Hebrew which are never counted as a vowel. Alex, are they ever counted as a vowel?
No.
Alex is right. I wanted him to say never, but I'll take no. The shva is never counted as a vowel. A shva can be silent, in which case it simply tells you to add the letter above it to the vowel and letter in front of it. The silent shva simply extends a syllable by 1 additional Hebrew letter. You add the letter on top of a silent shva, to the letter and vowel in front of it, making one syllable. And a pronounced shva is pronounced I, as in the word fish. A silent shva comes at the beginning of a syllable and is never counted as a vowel. And those are all the dots and dashes which comprise the vowels and the shva in the Hebrew language. So I want to show you now words you can read and understand in Hebrew just with the letters and vowels you've learned so far. And I hope all of you feel so pleased, so proud with what you've been able to do, because there's really an ability you have now to read Hebrew as a language. Take a look at some of these words, see how many of them you know, and those you don't know, you'll learn right now. This word is the most important word in Judaism, and it is the word Shabbat. Very, very good. It is a 2-vowel word, so it's a 2-syllable word, and Shabbat is the Sabbath in English. Although if you remember that Hebrew words are made of 3-letter roots, Alex, let's show the root of the word Shabbat, Shin, Bet, Tuf, and the root has something to do with resting. Whenever you see Shin, Bet, Tuf in this order, as a Hebrew root, it has to do with resting, and it tells you that Shabbat really means a day of resting, a day of rest. Also, if we take the vowels out of the word, you now can read it without any trouble. This is the word Shabbat, the noun Shabbat. Without vowels, you do not need vowels for any word you already know. Shabbat, Mitsuyan. How about this word? 2 vowels, 2 syllables. The word is Shalom. Beautiful. Shalom. And shalom comes from the Hebrew root Shin Lamed Mem, which means to be complete or whole. And therefore the word shalom means to be in some way in total harmony with oneself and others. It is the Hebrew word for peace, Mitsuyan. And in Israel, people who speak Hebrew use the word shalom to express hello and to express goodbye. The word means peace, but in the Jewish tradition, one is always wishing another person shalom, peace. And that's why it's used as a greeting, and there's a way of departing one from another, the word shalom. And if we put these 2 words together, and again, you do not need vowels, for you know both of these words, the phrase is Shabbat Shalom, Mitsuyan. It's the greeting on the Sabbath. One says to someone else, Shabbat Shalom. When one greets another person, and you say Shabbat Shalom as you depart. Shabbat Shalom. Beautiful. Another Hebrew word. 2 vowels, 2 syllables, simple. Abba, Mitsuyan. And it means, yes, daddy or father. There's a nice daddy. Abba, Mitsuyan. Here's another, if it's not the most important, it's certainly the second most important word in the Jewish tradition. 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Can you read this word? Of course you can. Torah. And Israelis tend to roll the R. Not quite like the French do, but a little bit. Torah. Mitsuyan. Torah. And the Torah is the 5 books of Moses. It's the constitution of the Jewish people. It's everything Judaism is based upon. It is the wellspring of all that the Jewish people are. Torah, the most beautiful set of books the Jews have in this entire world. The Jews are called the people of the book because of their love of Torah and all the commentaries that are also built upon Torah, the word Torah. The next word, good for you, challah. Challah, it has the chet, challah, and challah is the twisted bread on the Shabbat. On the high holidays, it tends to be round. On holidays, it's round. But on every Shabbat, it is twisted, braided bread that is delicious. Alex, what does challah taste like?
Delicious.
Delicious is right. Delicious. Challah is delicious, and it's to be eaten every Shabbat, challah. You'll see, by the way, some people call it challah because they don't know that when they see transliterated English, the CH is the sound. It's not challah, it's challah. And here's a word for bread, and it is lechem. It is lechem. And by the way, we've added another dash for you. It's a vertical line under the lamed right next to the segol. And in many prayer books, to help you understand where to accent a word, if the word is not accented on the last syllable, as most Hebrew words are, some prayer books and some texts actually indicate where the accent goes with this vertical line, telling you that the accent is on the first syllable, lechem. Lechem is the Hebrew word for bread, mitsuyan, lechem. And of course, lechem is a very well-known word from the blessing, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, the one who brings forth bread from the earth. The motzi, all about lechem, mitsuyan. The next Hebrew word, a Jewish holiday, Chanukah, mitsuyan. First, count the number of vowels in this word. And if you said 3, it means you've counted what's under the chet. But remember, the chet is a shva with an ah sound next to it. And a shva is, Alex?
Never counted as a vowel.
Never counted as a vowel, even if there's a vowel sound like the patach next to it. And this is a shva with a patach to give it a little more oomph, a little more body, a little more vowel sound. But it's not a patach with a shva, it's a shva with a patach, and it's called a chataf patach. Sometimes it's called a half vowel. But what's important for you to know is a shva is never counted as a vowel, and therefore there are only 2 vowels in this word, the shuruk and the kamatz, and therefore there are only 2 syllables, and the first syllable is chanu, mitsuyan, chanu. It's as if the shva with the patach sound next to it is a grace note, so that it's chanu, not chanu, but chanu. The first syllable is chanu, and the second syllable is ka, Chanukah, Chanukah. And of course, Chanukah is the Jewish holiday that celebrates the Maccabees' victory over the Syrians in the 2nd century BCE, and it means dedication or rededication, since the Maccabees rededicated the ancient temple in Jerusalem after they defeated Antiochus Epiphanes and the Syrians in Jerusalem. And here's another Hebrew holiday. 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Sukkot, mitsuyan. Sukkot is the festival of booths, when we build these little huts to remind us of the temporary dwellings the Israelites lived in as they wandered in the wilderness, as they moved from Mount Sinai back to the land of Canaan. And on the holiday of Sukkot, we build a sukkah, which is the singular of Sukkot. And the ot ending in Hebrew is one of the 2 ways you write a plural word in Hebrew. The ot is like adding the English letter S to a noun. So Sukkot is festival of booths, and Sukkot is the plural of sukkah, mitsuyan. You can build, by the way, a small sukkah, or you can build a larger sukkah, and then you use this Hebrew word, gadol, mitsuyan, 2 vowels, 2 syllables, gadol. And gadol means big or large or great. And gadol is an adjective to tell you that a noun is big or large or great. And it also can be used as a noun if you want to say a great one, a great person, for example. You can call somebody a gadol, big, large, or great. And here's another Hebrew word, one syllable. Good for you, ner. And ner means a candle. Very nice. And you know the blessing, lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, to light the candle, symbolizing candles of the holiday of Shabbat. Lahadlik ner, candle. And here's another Hebrew word very much like ner, but we'll change the resh to a samech. And now the word is nes, or nes. And nes is a miracle. A miracle. And if nes is a miracle, what is a nes gadol? Mitsuyan, it's a big miracle, or a great miracle. And of course, the holiday of Hanukkah is said to be a nes gadol, a great miracle. Here is the Hebrew word for another Jewish holiday. 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Good for you. Pesach. Pesach. And words that tend to have a segol at the beginning tend to be accented on the first syllable. Pesach. Mitsuyan. And Pesach is the holiday of Passover. Very, very good. And the root Pei Samechet always has something to do with passing over. Passing over. And what the Jewish tradition did was took that verb to pass over and made a noun out of it. And the Pesach is the paschal lamb that was slaughtered on the night the Israelites put blood on their door to mark their wishing to become the Jewish people, to leave Egypt and accept the Torah. And we call the holiday Pesach, the holiday of Passover. And here's another Jewish holiday. 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Good for you, Purim. Purim. And Purim comes from the word pur. And the word pur in Hebrew is the English word lot, as in a lottery. And you now know that Purim is all about luck and chance. And if you add im to the word pur, it's another way of making a Hebrew noun plural. Just like oat makes a word plural, im tends to make a word plural, and the word Purim is the word for lots. Purim is the holiday on which Queen Esther and Mordecai defeat the evil Haman. And here is one more Hebrew word. 2 vowels, 2 syllables. Yafeh. Yafeh. And it means beautiful or pretty. And you can see here this beautiful baby is Yafeh. Beautiful, Yafeh. And Yafeh is an adjective that can describe any noun as beautiful or pretty. Here's another Hebrew noun. 1 vowel. Can you read this Hebrew word? Yom is correct. Yom. And Yom means day in Hebrew. And a Yom Yafeh would be a beautiful day. Yom Yafeh, beautiful day. And what happens if we add this word to the word Yom? A 2 vowel word, 2 syllables. Can you read this new Hebrew word? Ki Pur, Mitsuyan. 2 vowels, 2 syllables, it is Kippur. You put the words together, you get Yom Kippur, which in English we tend to say Yom Kippur. But in Hebrew it is Yom Kippur, and the root of the word Kippur is the kaf, the pei, and the resh. And kaf, pei, resh always has something to do with atoning and atonement. And so Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. And Yom Kippur falls 10 days after this Hebrew holiday, which you also can read. The first word is Rosh, Mitsuyan, the Resh, the Cholam, and the Aleph is acting here as a vowel letter. The Aleph is the only letter in the Hebrew alphabet which can stand without either a vowel or a shva. It is acting as a vowel itself. And the Shin, you have a one vowel, one syllable word, Rosh. And Rosh is the word for, very good, head. Rosh means head. And if you add this next word to the word Rosh, you get a holiday known as Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah. And Shana is the word for year in Hebrew. If you add ha to the beginning of a noun, it's like adding the English word the. It's the definite article. So Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year, or what we often call the new year, Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah comes on the 1st of Tishri, and 10 days later we have Yom Kippur, the 10th of Tishri. And you put these two together and you get the high holidays of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the first of the year, the head of the year, and the Day of Atonement. Mitsuyan, Mitsuyan. These are all Hebrew words you now can read with the Hebrew you've learned so far, and all of these words have meaning. Whenever you see any of these words, you can feel they are yours as language because they represent either a noun or an idea which makes sense to you. All of these Hebrew words. And when we meet next time, I'll teach you another Hebrew letter that will open up even more of Hebrew to you, the Hebrew that you can use in your experience of Judaism, Jewish symbols, Jewish holidays, the prayer book, and the Torah. And the more you are comfortable with Hebrew as a language, the more all of this comes to life for you. And I am so thrilled that you've joined us as part of our series of From the Aleph Bet. I hope you enjoyed that lesson of From the Aleph Bet. And remember, you can download lesson sheets and worksheets for every lesson of this series free of charge. Just visit the JBS website homepage at jbstv.org and click on the program icon for From the Aleph Bet. And then click on the very first option, From the Aleph Bet, Hebrew Study Sheets. And for anyone who can send JBS a tax-deductible donation of $180 or more, we'll be pleased to send you the entire 20-program Series 1 of From the Aleph Bet on DVD, complete with a CD of lesson sheets and worksheets. JBS, expanding Jewish understanding, celebrating all things Jewish. Be well, my friends.
Aleph, Bet, Ret, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Chaf, Lamed, Mem.